In this video, we're going to look at balancing chemical equations. So to start with, I have methane. So methane is CH4, so there's one carbon and 4 hydrogen atoms in this molecule. We have oxygen, which is O2, so 2 oxygens. Water, which is H2O, meaning there's 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen in the molecule. And carbon dioxide, which is CO2, which is 1 carbon and 2 oxygen atoms. When we're looking at our equation, we've got two sides to the equation. So on the left-hand side here with the blue, we have the reactants, so the two chemicals that are reacting with each other. So methane plus oxygen. And there's an arrow here because it's not equals. These two sides aren't equal. This is converted or chemically reacts to become new chemicals. Now, in terms of the law of conservation, things don't come into being spontaneously or disappear, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But the thing to understand is these are our reactants, so methane plus oxygen, and they chemically react to form water and carbon dioxide. And as it says down the bottom here, this is not a balanced chemical equation. Now, this is the balanced chemical equation down the bottom here. And what that means is this. So if I go back to this one, if I actually go back to my original here, if I have methane, which is CH4, and I have oxygen, which is O2, and they react to form water and carbon dioxide, it's not balanced because the law of conservation of mass means whatever I start with in a chemical equation, I end with. It can be rearranged and it forms new molecules, but I have to have the same amount of atoms. Now, when you have a look here, I have 1 carbon on this side of my equation, and over here I have 1 carbon, so that's fine. But I have 4 hydrogens on this side of my equation, but on this side I only have 2. And here I have O2, which is 2 oxygens, but when I come over to my products, I've got 1, 2, 3 oxygens. So it's not a balanced chemical equation. Now, what has to happen is this. So when I write my chemical equation, and for it to react, I actually need to stop and go, I have to have the same atoms on both sides when I'm finished. So CH4, well, there's 1 carbon and 1 carbon, that's okay. And hydrogen, well, hydrogen, I've got 4 hydrogens on this side, so I come over and I look at my water, and by adding a 2 in the front here, what this actually means is I'm going to end up with 2 water molecules. 2 water molecules, so it's still water, but for this reaction to be balanced, there needs to be 2 molecules of water. So if I have those 2 molecules, I now have 2 H2s. So I have hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. So there's 4 hydrogens on this side now. But what it also means is there's another 2 oxygens on this side of my equation. So with the 2 water molecules, I have 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. What that means now when I come back to this side, in my original equation I only had O2. So if I put a 2 in the front, I have now 2 oxygen molecules, which means there's 4 oxygens on this side of the equation and 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side of the equation. So this is a balanced equation. So for this reaction to take place, there needs to be 1 methane molecule, 2 oxygen molecules, and it will actually produce 2 molecules of water and a molecule of carbon dioxide. So another example I have here is if we have hydrogen, H2, and oxygen, which is O2, they react to form water, which is H2O. And again, this isn't a balanced equation as it is. My reactants, I have 1, 2 hydrogens. Over here I have 1, 2 hydrogens, that's very good. But on this side I have 2 oxygens, and in my product I only have 1 oxygen. So for this to be a balanced equation, I actually have to have 2 molecules of water on this side, so I end up with my 2 oxygens. So H2O, I have 2 water molecules, that's what the big 2 in front means. But now what's happened is by doing that, I need to have more hydrogen on this side. So by putting a 2 in front of this one, representing that I have 2 hydrogen molecules, I have 2 by the H2s, which is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here I have 1, 2, 1, 2, and that is a balanced chemical equation.